Fennel salad.
Fennel salad. So when you're going to juice a lemon or an orange or a citrus fruit, if you roll it first, you get some of the juice comes out of the pulp and stuff. Makes it easier to squeeze.
And that's a really good
These
thing. You roll it before you.
And these juicer things are great compared to just the ones that you kind of stick, kind of the ones with a handle that you stick in like this.
Right.
This catches all the extra pulp and the.
Well, I just got it a couple weeks ago, so it was better than me.
It was better
Using
than
my
you.
hand.
Yeah.
You need to leave probably half of it in there when
Yep.
you do that.
Well, they're not strong
And
enough
it catches
to
the
really
seeds,
do
too.
anything. So. And that, Richard, isn't that your mother's or somebody? That's sort of like a.
Yeah, some relative somewhere. That's probably about as old as I am, maybe older. So there's extra flavor on it. Oh, you saying I'm an antique?
You're an antique.
No, thank
Yes,
you,
I've
baby.
forgotten already.
Well, you did.
What is the name of this dish again?
This is what?
What is the name of this dish again?
This is fennel slaw or salad, depending on.
Okay.
I mean, a slaw is basically a salad. So this is fennel. You may or may not ever have used it or had it. I can't. What would you describe the taste as?
Sort of a licoricey, oniony.
It's a little bit licorice,
but not
like black licorice, but not strong. Not
No,
like some people
not
are like,
strong.
oh, I don't like black licorice. It's very subtle,
It's very subtle.
sweet.
It actually has a refreshing taste to it.
And one thing, I don't know if you guys, as far as knife skills, the only knives you really need in your house, especially because we don't eat a lot of bread, you don't need a bread knife, you need a good, like, 8-inch chef's knife, like this. And then,
My
like,
hands are smaller, so I like this one.
And-
and I can handle it.
and a paring knife.
Richard uses that a lot.
Something, I don't know, that's a fish knife, but
What there?
yeah, just something a little bit shorter.
There's should be a paring knife in there, or it didn't get cleaned and put back.
Yeah, it's basically like this.
Baby needs steak knife too.
Well, I just mean for preparing, for like chef type things.
Right.
So something like this, if you're doing, delicate work, cutting the fat off of,
Or you're peeling
something, something that where a chef knife is too big.
Okay.
But you don't need, I mean, the knife blocks come with all these different
Right.
things, but if you want to start cooking a lot and you want to invest in a knife, get something like that. Also, if it's going to be a knife with a wood or a handle, make sure that the tang goes all the way through the handle and it's riveted.
That's a good knife.
You'll find them where it's only halfway through, and after a couple years or even less, it'll snap. It'll come out of there.
Well, and also it's unstable.
Yes.
And the last thing you want to do is when you're cutting is an unstable knife.
And if you really want to go, I mean, if you want to buy an expensive knife, also first of all, don't use a sharpener. Don't use like a sharpener that you buy. Get them professionally sharpened. If you go buy a $500 chef's knife, or if you get really into it and you decide you want to buy a chef's knife.
I'm like, I got a little set of three Victoria knives.
Yes. If you have a group.
That's the right sizes.
I'm just saying, if that should come up in the future, just as forewarning, if you buy a $50 knife block, go ahead and use it. And also, this is a hone. It's not really a sharpener, but you can keep the edge on your knife.
Yeah, I use that to refresh the edge
Yes,
every time I use a knife, so it doesn't get dull.
Yes, every time you use a knife, you should do that.
Okay, I do. Okay, places like Sonoma, they have professionals that come in to sharpen knives.
You can go get your knife professionally sharpened.
Or for $50 you can go to Target and actually get a really nice machine that'll do it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if you buy a really nice knife, if you have a pretty nice knife, you can probably do it yourself. But it's possible to ruin your blade if you just go buy a thing or a machine or whatever. Before you buy a knife, see if you can hold it and feel the balance of it. Make sure it fits well in your hand. When you hold the knife, you want to keep your fingers on the blade. Don't choke all the way back here because you're not going to have as much control. So have your finger, your pinch up around the blade. When you're cutting something like a piece of celery or a long thing, fold your fingers under. I mean, you don't have to have your knuckles out, but have your fingers under. It's like make a claw, and then hold the knife against and point it a little bit away from your fingers. And that way, the worst you're going to do is take some skin off the top of your finger. You're not going to take off the tip of your finger.
Generally doesn't taste real good.
That sounds great.
And so what you're going to do is it's a forward cutting motion, and you're going to come down, and it's almost like it's going around on the back of it makes those ellipse.
Yeah, and for that reason, knives that have a slightly curved edge are better for the dicing and the slicing and the chopping.
So you're going to be able to.
As opposed to, say, a carving
I just
knife.
wanted to be able to do that fast.
No, I've been very slow. I've been to the ER
And
before
so-
with cuts, so I'm very cautious.
I mean, and you can, depending on how tough it is. If you need to chop like that, you can chop like that. But you end up, it doesn't all the way go the way through. Whereas if you do that, you go all the way through.
Right, it's a rocking motion actually, and not. I see so many people because I'm in a restaurant business for 30 years that are cutting kind of like this, and that just kills me.
You're gonna kill your
You're
edge.
gonna kill your and get just sort of this jaggedy cuts, and the food is not. And actually, you can talk about that because I'm gonna do that and demonstrate with the celery and how I cut the stuff. How you cut your pieces, your food,
Changes the way.
determines the way it actually cooks up, the time that it cooks, and the texture and everything, and then the taste. So a lot of people don't pay attention to knife skills, but knife skills are really important.
And if you want, the same things I'm saying is if you go on YouTube and you just type in knife skills, you'll find like an Alton Brown knife skills, you'll find a Jamie Oliver knife skills. There's a couple different chefs who have made a knife skills video, and they say the same kind of thing, but it's something to look for. And another thing is you always want a flat surface to cut against. So if you got something that's going all over the place, cut a flat edge. So for this, we're gonna. This has a core. I didn't core it, but basically I'm just gonna cut it thinly.
Also, too, get
dog will
yourself
get it.
a good sized cutting board.
Yes.
People will have these little bitty cutting boards and they're trying to do stuff, and it's like
Well, they're cute for cheese, but
cheese trays. The bulb of fennel is what you actually eat. You could keep the stalks to make stock and things like
Yeah,
that.
I was
but
like, they
yeah.
remind me
Oh,
of
and the
something.
fronds are
I never
wonderful.
used them or not.
Or
It's good for. It's also the fronds. I'm gonna put a couple of them and just kind of not really garnish. It's a little bit of garnish, and the flavor's a little bit different. It's not enough to make a big deal, but there's some well, I'm putting dill in too, so the dill's gonna look about the same, but. And this fennel was, I think, like $2 a bulb at Whole Foods, so not very expensive.
but not cheap. Definitely not
Well,
cheap.
and when it's at Kroger, it's actually less, but they didn't happen to have any at Kroger today, so.
Hopefully pulpus produce to me is not outrageous. It's the meat that is what you pay.
I was about to say, yeah, so
I mean, there is a difference definitely, but it's not the percentage difference that is the meat.
well, and most of it's organic, so you expect to pay a little
If I'm
more.
gonna juice them for something special, it's gonna definitely be organic. Not that everything is.
Now, do you choose for the juicer and take all the pulp out and everything?
Yeah, because I think the one that we have is a little expensive, and I got, it was Amazon, it was a top rated, $150